All right, let's talk about something we all do every single day, but something most of us could get a whole lot better at: communication. It is no joke, the foundation of pretty much everything: our relationships, our work, you name it. And the best part? It's a skill. And like any skill, you can train it and you can master it.
But here's the thing, right? We talk all day long. We text, we email, we chat. It seems so easy. So why do we still have so many misunderstandings? Why do our messages get twisted? And why does it sometimes feel like we're just not on the same page as someone who's literally right in front of us? Well, that's the big question we're going to dig into.
And to guide us on this little journey, we're using this amazing curriculum as our map. It just lays everything out so clearly, from the absolute basics to some really powerful strategies. We're going to walk through the core ideas and hopefully build a whole new way of looking at how we connect with people. Okay, so let's start at square one. I want you to think about communication like having a toolkit. Before you can build anything, you've got to know what tools you have in the box and what each one is for. So let's open that toolkit. You know, at the end of the day, it all boils down to these three things. You've got verbal, that's the words you say. You've got nonverbal, that's all about what your body is doing. And then you've got visual, that's what you show people. We're mixing and matching these all the time, usually without even realizing it.
And this is where it gets really interesting. We spend so much energy picking just the right words, but study after study shows it's our nonverbal stuff, our posture, the tone of our voice, whether we're making eye contact, that often sends the real message. I mean, if your words say, "I'm fine," but your body is tense and you're avoiding eye contact, which one are people going to believe? It's what they see every time.
And then we have our third tool, the visual. This is everything from a pie chart in a report to the perfect emoji in a text. It's all about using images and design to get a complex point across super fast. Because sometimes a simple picture really is worth 1,000 words. Okay, so we've got our tools, right? Verbal, nonverbal, visual. But how do they actually work together? Well, let's move on because it's not just about having the tools, it's about understanding the engine that makes them run. It's a full cycle. And this right here shows that whole journey perfectly. It all starts with just an idea in someone's head. The sender then has to encode it, turn that thought into words or a gesture. That message travels to the receiver, who then has to decode it or figure out what it means. But wait, it does not stop there. The final step is by far the most important part of this whole thing. And that final step is feedback. Now, feedback isn't just a reply. Think of it as the confirmation signal. It's the receiver saying, "Roger that, message received, and here's what I heard." Without feedback, you're basically just shouting into the wind, hoping for the best, with no clue if anyone actually understood you. So the takeaway here is massive. Feedback is what transforms a one-way speech into a two-way conversation. It's what closes the loop and makes the whole engine turn. Honestly, learning how to listen for feedback and how to give good, clear feedback is a total superpower. All right, if it's such a simple cycle, why does it break down so often? Why do we still get our wires crossed? Well, this is where we meet the villain of our story, the roadblocks that mess everything up. And these roadblocks have a name: communication barriers. This can be literally anything. It could be physical noise in a room. It could be emotional baggage that's distracting you. It could be cultural differences, or even just using jargon that no one understands. Think of it like static on a radio. It can warp your message or even block it completely. And that's where all those frustrating miscommunications come from. But here's the good news. For every single one of those barriers, there's a key to unlock it or a way to get around it. So let's get to the best part of our journey, the master keys to becoming a truly effective communicator. So how do we get there? According to our guide, it's a two-part plan. First, you need actual, specific strategies to knock down those barriers we just talked about. And second, you have to build your messages on a solid foundation of proven principles. This isn't about luck or guessing. It's about being intentional. And speaking of principles, there's this one framework that is just so incredibly useful. It really all comes down to this one magic number. Yep, the 7 C's of communication. This is like the ultimate pre-flight checklist for any message you're about to send. Before you hit send or open your mouth, just run through it. Is your message clear? Is it concise, or are you rambling? Is it correct? Is it coherent, complete, courteous? And, so important, is it concrete, filled with facts, not just fluff? If you can check off these 7 boxes, your chances of being understood skyrocket. And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. These principles translate directly into real-world skills, especially writing.
Think about it. Whether you're firing off a quick email or writing a big report, applying the 7 Cs, making sure your writing is clear, concise, correct, it's the difference between your message getting the job done and it getting ignored.
So, we've covered a lot of ground, right? We've looked at the tools in our toolkit, the engine that powers it all, the roadblocks that get in the way, and the master keys to success. The question isn't really what is good communication anymore. The question is for you, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to focus on your nonverbal cues, maybe work on making your emails more concrete, or practice giving better feedback? The first step is all yours.
Hey everyone, so have you ever stopped to think about how a simple idea in your head can grow into this huge, powerful argument? Honestly, it's a lot like building something. Today, we're going to grab the blueprints for English grammar and see exactly how we build compelling ideas, brick by brick, right from the ground up.
It really all comes down to this one question, doesn't it? How do you build an idea? How do you take that spark in your mind and turn it into something solid, something real that another person can actually see and understand? Well, just like putting up a building, you need a plan, you need good materials, and you need a solid structure. And that right there is exactly what Grammars gives us.
So here's our game plan for today. Think of it as our blueprint. We're going to start with the absolute basics, the raw materials, words. Then, we'll see how to assemble those into a frame using sentences, design different rooms with sentence styles, build entire floors with paragraphs, and, finally, add those finishing touches that make the whole thing shine.
All right, let's get into it. Any great structure, and I mean any, starts with quality materials. In language, our fundamental bricks and mortar are the parts of speech. Really understanding these is the absolute first step to building anything that's going to last.
First up, the foundational block, the noun. This is maybe the simplest but also the most important tool we have. A noun just gives something a name, an identity. It's the who or the what that we're talking about, and it's what we build everything else around.
But here's the thing, nouns are not one size fits all. Not at all. We've got specific names like India or Albert Einstein. We have general categories like city. We have raw materials like gold. And we even have concepts you literally can't touch like courage. Choosing the right type of noun is just like choosing the right kind of brick for the right part of the wall.
Next up, we've got pronouns. You can think of these as like the shortcuts in our construction project. Instead of saying, John did this, and then John did that, which gets old fast, right? We can just say, he. It makes our writing so much smoother and way more efficient.
And which pronoun you grab depends entirely on your point of view. Am I talking about myself? Okay, that's first person. I, we. Am I talking directly to you? That's second person. Or are we talking about them over there? That's third person. Getting this perspective right is absolutely key if you want to be clear.
So if nouns are the bricks, then verbs are the engine. They're the power source. A verb is what brings all our static nouns to life. It gives them action, makes things happen, or describes what state they're in. Seriously, without a verb, nothing moves. The whole construction site is at a standstill. And verbs do all kinds of work for us. They can show a physical action, like dances. They can signal that an event is happening, like starts. Or they can describe a state of being, like feels. The verb you choose really defines the entire energy of your sentence. And of course, there are other tools in the box. You've got adjectives, they're like the paint, adding all the color and detail. Adverbs are the power tools, changing how an action is done. And prepositions, they're like the wiring and the plumbing, connecting everything and giving it all direction. These are the details that turn a basic shell into a place someone would actually want to live in. Okay, so we've got our materials sorted. It's time to actually start building. We're going to assemble the core framework. This is where we combine those words to create a sentence, and for the first time, we have a complete, understandable thought. Now, every single sentence, I don't care how simple or how complicated it is, has two essential parts. You've got the subject, that's the who or what we're talking about, and then you have the predicate, which is basically everything else. It tells us what the subject is or what it's doing, and you absolutely cannot have one without the other. It just doesn't work. Let's just break this one down real quick. What is this sentence about? The red car. Boom, that's our subject. And what's the deal with the red car? It is running fast. That's our predicate. See? Subject and predicate working together to make one complete idea. It's that simple.
So, once we know how to build a basic room, our sentence, we can start designing different kinds of rooms for different purposes. I mean, a kitchen doesn't have the same function as a bedroom, right? It's the same with sentences. We can style them for all sorts of different goals. And here are the 5 basic designs. We can just make a simple statement, we can ask a question, we can give a command, we can express some really strong emotions, or we can even state a wish or a prayer. Each of these types totally changes the tone and purpose of what we're trying to say.
You can just feel the energy in this one, right? This is an exclamatory sentence. It's not just stating a fact, it's bursting with excitement and strong feeling. That exclamation point at the end is like a giant flashing neon sign that says, hey, pay attention to this feeling.
And then you have this one, an imperative sentence. Yeah, it's polite, but make no mistake, it's a command. It's designed to make something happen, to cause an action. It's a perfect example of how we use a simple sentence to interact with the world around us.
Okay, we've framed out a bunch of rooms. Now it's time to put them together to build a whole floor, maybe even the whole building. This next level of our construction project is the paragraph, where we group related sentences together to really dig into a single idea.
But listen, you can't just throw sentences together randomly. A really well-built paragraph follows 4 key architectural rules. First is unity. Every sentence has to be about that one main idea. Second, coherence. The sentences have to flow in a logical order. Third, emphasis. Your most important point needs to stand out. And finally, variety. You got to mix up your sentence structures to keep your reader from falling asleep.
Take a look at this paragraph about an ideal teacher. Notice how every single sentence, from their patience to their role as a guide, is focused only on that one topic. That's unity. And see how the ideas flow so nicely from a general point to more specific qualities? That's coherence. That's what gives a paragraph its strength and makes it so easy to read.
So, our structure is built, the rooms are all connected, but we're not quite done. The final, critical step is the polish. It's the small details that make a huge difference. And in grammar, one of the most important finishing touches is using articles correctly.
The difference here is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. A coin could be any old coin on the street. It's nonspecific. But when we say the coin, oh, now we're talking about that specific one we just found. This tiny little choice between a and the adds a layer of precision that's just crucial for being understood.
So there you have it. From the smallest brick, a noun, to the framing of sentences and the structure of paragraphs, all the way to that final polish of an article, we've walked through the whole blueprint. Grammar isn't some dusty old set of rules. It's the toolkit we use to build ideas that can actually inform, persuade, and inspire people.
We've laid out the whole construction plan, from the foundation right up to the roof. The tools are officially in your hands now. So the only question left is, what incredible things are you going to build? Thanks so much for joining us to explore this blueprint.